Welcome back, guys, to the 10-ounce Fight Club.
Yes, sir.
I'm Eliah. We got James here, and we've got a lot to unpack from a big week of news, I guess.
Yeah, man, we had a lot going on with fights, both in, like you were saying, in the news with free agency and signings and things like that. And then boxing's really starting to make a huge comeback right now, and so I'd like to dive into that as well today.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, let's start off with one of the most highly anticipated signings that, this fighter just got signed. Francis Ngannou signs with the PFL, Professional Fighters League.
Yes, sir. And as we are a little late reporting this, we're not really reporting it, but at least covering it.
Yeah, going over.
We're a little late covering this. There's been a lot going on. We're getting to see all the media and, Dana and fighters and, journalists really starting to crack back at this. And, we can unwind on their takes as well and really break this thing down. So, why don't you start off and let me know what you think about it? How do you feel? I mean, do you feel like this is a good move for Francis, a good move for the PFL?
Yeah, it sounds like Francis was able to get a contract that he had in mind and he wanted to get. We know that he was asking for like a lot of, kind of fighters' rights stuff. I don't know if you saw, there was like him talking about he wants his opponent to actually receive a certain amount of money as well. He doesn't want his, opponents to be underpaid when they fight him. And it sounds like PFL were, willing to work with that, and so I'm glad they were able to come with an agreement. The only thing that, I think is a big concern to a lot of people is does the PFL have the roster to give Francis, like, really good competition?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, Francis in the UFC, he's, kind of murked a lot of people. He ran into troubles with Stipe the first time, but then, he righted that wrong pretty much. And
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting signing. I was kind of maybe thinking he might have signed with like one championship, but then we saw Chatri, who owns one, said that Francis was just asking for a little bit too much. They didn't really disclose on like kind of what he was asking that was too much, but I'm glad they were able to with the PFL come to an agreement, and we get to see Francis fight again, and the contract also allows him to go box. So, and there's a lot of really interesting opponents that I feel like Francis could box, right now. So
no, 100%. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fun fights out there for Francis Ngannou, and I love that he's finally getting his due here. But from what I could understand with the one championship signing and even the UFC signing, what it sounds like is it wasn't necessarily that Francis wanted too much for himself. It was all the extra stipulations that he wanted, similar to what you were saying about his opponents making a certain amount of money and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I love where he's coming from. I love that he's fighting for fighters' rights like that. At least that's how it seems, in my opinion. But, that's going to be a tough sell for anybody.
Yeah, in this business, it's hard to kind of take that stance and go that way because, everyone is your opponent pretty much, and it's hard to kind of break bread with a lot of people from different camps and, people that you have to fight. So, yeah, it's a tricky situation. But
right, and then the business has got to get their return as well. So it's going to be a tough move.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm not too sure with the PFL roster what they have heavyweights right now, but anytime Francis fights, I think it's must-watch TV. And the only thing that might be a little bit up in the air is like is the PFL at the level where they can start charging pay-per-views for stuff. I don't think that they have that amount of credit, but
they haven't shown a successful pay-per-view model.
But they're on ESPN, so maybe just if you subscribe to ESPN Plus, make it available to them, and if that's available, I'm watching Francis fight all day,
right,
for sure. So.
I agree. I know they're talking about Ben Rothwell and maybe a couple of other fighters, but if I'm being completely honest with you, I think that I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think you can afford to pay Francis whatever you're going to have to pay Francis as your champion. Mm-hmm. And then pay his opponent. I know that what we were talking about, a round number of like $2 million or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, it was a percentage of his purse. I think it had to be at least half or like maybe 25% of his.
Right, which is going to be tough.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough to do that if you don't have the successful pay-per-view model and if you're not selling out arenas and putting on those shows. So I mean, I don't know where their money's coming from, but it's going to be a tough model to sell. I honestly think that what we will see, especially with boxing not really going after Francis Ngannou either. They really don't seem to be all that interested in it.
Yeah, that flame kind of died out over the past couple months, I feel.
So I think we see Francis eventually end up back in the UFC, if I'm being completely honest with you. If John Jones can remain the heavyweight champion, whether he fights Sergey, Stipe, insert name here, You know, I think that what we will get is Stipe versus Francis versus John Jones before it's all said and done.
Yeah, and that is like the most highly anticipated fight you could make.
Yeah.
I think right now between like, you know, the two, you know, toughest dudes in the world. I think it's, you got to, you know, it's, you know, you can trade who's won between Jones and Francis. So yeah, it'd be awesome to see them go at it. But speaking of John Jones, he's been in the media lately too. And got into the media because of some remarks from Joe Rogan, I guess. And Joe Rogan made a statement somewhat to like, if Tyson Fury ever went into a cage, John Jones would just maul him.
So what Joe had said, he said, you know, and this was more in reference to him just kind of building up John Jones and complimenting his skills. He was saying, that's the baddest man on the planet. If you put him and Tyson Fury in a room together, John Jones is walking out of that room. He said he's putting all his he said he's betting all his chips on black.
Yeah.
So, and then Tyson got a little got a little twisted up about it, and then him and John Jones just kind of had a little fun with it, I think.
Yeah. And then Dana White comes out and says that he might be open to promoting something like that. He reached out to Tyson's camp and said, like, hey, if you guys are serious about this, let's make something happen.
Dana, you've got the money. Make it happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do it, Dana.
Yeah. And, if both camps want to do it, and could be another spectacle like we got with Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather.
Dude, you know? I'm telling you, we just got to get Dana White mad enough. All right, if we can,
pink enough.
Yeah,
exactly.
If we can unlock petty Dana White, he'll steal Tyson Fury away from Ngannou and bring Tyson to the UFC to fight John Jones. I mean, that would be the biggest slap in the face.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because we were all talking about Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, one fight in a cage, one fight in a ring, or some weird hybrid fight. Mm-hmm. What if Dana White pulls out all the money and gets John Jones versus Tyson Fury in a cage?
And yeah, that would be a high bill to pay, I think, to get both those guys to, especially to get Fury to step into a cage, because from the sounds of it, he wants nothing to do with it. And I don't blame him. Like, his bread and butter is in the ring. And as soon as you mix in, you know, takedowns and stuff like that, you know, it's like, what's going to happen?
Well, and dude, MMA cardio to boxing cardio, it's just two different worlds. You know what I mean? I'm not saying one's harder than the other in a sense, but it's, you know what I mean? If you're a sprinter and I go ask you to run a marathon, odds are you're not winning that marathon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so what do you think is the likelihood of this fight happening on scale of 1 to 10? How likely do you think this is?
No.
Complete zero?
Complete zero. Because it's, I think either man is getting mauled in the other man's sport, and it's not even close. Yeah. You know, if you throw John Jones in there with Tyson Fury with boxing gloves in a ring.
Yeah. What if you did it one championship style like they did with DJ and Rodtang, where first round, you know, in their fight, first round was Muay Thai, second round was MMA. Do you think that they could maybe agree on terms like that, on like a cross promotion and something like that?
I don't know. I guess if I like picturing it in my mind right now, I'm thinking you do the first round boxing to give Tyson Fury the advantage.
Yeah.
And I think John just clinches his ass up for 3 minutes and runs around. And then as soon as they get into the octagon, John takes his ass straight down.
Yeah. And I think both guys are sized up pretty well with each other. You know, with John Jones putting on the weight, you know, he's filled out quite a bit, but his height is, you know, pretty close to Tyson Fury for sure.
Did you see that picture of Alex Pereira
standing next to Tyson Fury? Yeah,
that was a good angle.
Yeah, there was one caption. It's like, who's lying here? No, I think it would be crazy if it happened, but I think we're far from it.
I just can't picture it.
So speaking about more boxing, I didn't have the chance to watch it. We just went over some highlights and stuff like that, but James was able to watch.
Yes, I was.
Haney versus Lomachenko, and let's break it down real quick. Let's see, what happened in this one.
All right, so last weekend we had Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko for all the belts, not all the belts, most of the belts in the lightweight division. And honestly, in real time, I had it scored for Vasily Lomachenko. I thought it was a very close fight. I thought very similar to the Teofimo fight. Lomachenko gave a lot of those early rounds away. Not gave them away. I mean, like, I had Devin Haney in 1, Loma in 2, and then I had Haney for most of the beginning of that fight. But neither man was ever out of it. Not until we got to the late rounds did I ever feel like anybody really got dominated. But like I said, very similar to the Teofimo fight. Lomachenko started coming off strong, really, in the end, especially in 10 and 11. But I don't know what happened in 12. I really think, Devin Haney was able to win round 12, in my opinion, and it was a close round. But I think if Lomachenko would have been going after him with the same tenacity he was going after him in 10 and 11, it would have been Lomachenko's fight, or at the very least a draw.
Yeah.
It's very hard to beat the champion by decision unless you absolutely break him. I mean, I don't know. But then again, Teofimo did the same thing to Lomachenko.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, me watching these highlights, it looks like Haney really had a good start, had a good running. And, Lomachenko, in all of his fights has been that late starter. But, he really started to put things together in the middle of the fight.
He had his legs wobbling in the later rounds.
Yeah, and then just through the rest of the fight, it looked like, Loma was just carrying the pace and, carrying the advantage and stuff like that. But, do you think that this is, a lot of people are saying robbery. Do you think that this fight was a robbery for Loma?
No, it was a very close fight. And if you even I was texting one of my buddies, we were talking about it, and I was saying, but Haney was working that body in the beginning of the fight. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't look at that. They see a body shot, and they just go, okay, whatever. Yeah. But those add up.
Yeah, definitely.
And they matter in a fight, Where Lomachenko was landing a lot of those straight lefts and right hooks when it was snapping Devin Haney's head around, and that's what really made people feel like, Lomachenko. His fights looked better. They were prettier shots,
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. I feel bad for Loma because I really like him. He's a great dude, and his story's really good. And just his past with like learning, boxing, and he also like learned traditional dance and stuff like that to help with his footwork. So just like it's interesting to see like the techniques he developed to make himself become a better boxer. And I feel like this one definitely stung him a lot more than the loss to Teofimo. I don't know why, but it was, it kind of stink to, see him lose, but it was a good fight. Yeah. Both guys put on a really good showing. So
Haney did a lot better than I thought he would. Mm-hmm. And I actually had to rewatch it. Like I said, in real time, I had it for Loma. At the end of the fight, I was screaming robbery, but I went back and rewatched it and said, okay, I can see how the champ walked away with the belts here.
Gotcha.
But again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think is next for Haney?
I'd like to see Tank Davis. I think that's the fight to make, especially now that boxing is finally starting to do what they need to do to stay relevant in combat sports. When we're finally starting to get the fights we need. They're finally starting to get more serious, talking about Fury and Usyk or Fury and Joshua. Mm-hmm. We finally announced another big fight that we'll get to here in just a minute.
Yeah.
But, even Ryan Garcia versus Tank was a huge fight that everyone had been waiting for a long time. Even due to Ryan's lack of experience compared to Tank, it didn't really matter. It was just a fight that everybody was clamoring for.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this was another one, Devin Haney versus Lomachenko, especially after the Kambosos fights. This was the fight to make, and I'm glad they got it done. But now it's time to unify the belts and do Haney versus Tank Davis.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting fight for sure. I love watching Tank fight, and I like watching Devin Haney fight too. And it'd be an interesting matchup. So
I think, to be honest with you, I think the first 6 rounds are gonna be boring as shit.
Yeah.
I know Haney, especially the way he was eating those left hands against Lomachenko, where Tank is also a southpaw. And Tank is he kind of like takes his time to read you. He's a slow starter. So, you saw it with Rolly Romero. You even saw it with, I believe it was also Garcia before Ryan Garcia.
Okay.
And given he did finish both those guys, or all 3 of those guys, but he takes his time. So I think the beginning of that fight starts off real slow, but I think eventually Tank finds the range. He reads Haney's movements, and he gets that knockout. Lands that big left hand.
Yeah, I know another big thing that was kind of in the headlines with kind of some stuff that Haney was saying is did you hear him say like how Floyd Mayweather and his record kind of altered the view of like how people view records in boxing and stuff like that?
Oh, dude, that's I mean, that is a huge point, but it's been going on longer than that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's Floyd's fault or anything like that. Like the boxing model has been like, supporting that for a long time. Yeah. But it seems like this year, dude, I feel like a lot of boxers have been really willing to like put that O on the line and stuff. And kind of maybe we'll see a lot more boxers be comfortable with, kind of risking a little bit more, for the legacy and stuff like that. And, being okay with like having a loss. I mean, with Loma, he came back in this fight and I thought he did really good. And that's the thing, you know, I think we're going to see more of people talk about, you know, in boxing that if you have a loss, doesn't mean the end of the world for you.
Yeah, they're working on it. I think we're coming up on days where a loss is no longer a death sentence in boxing. Yeah. You know, you see it in MMA where you see so many fighters with losses. They're still great fighters and put on great performances and beat other great fighters. Yeah. So, yeah, we're coming up on those days. We just got to wait. We just got to bide our time a little bit longer.
Yeah. Is there one UFC champion right now that doesn't have a loss? I don't think so. I mean, well,
John Jones.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, John Jones. Yeah.
That one. Come on, Matt Hamill. We all know you lost that fight. I love you, Matt Hamill, but we all know you lost that fight.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, John is the only one. But yeah, no, it's there's some interesting stuff, you know, going on. Another big fight announced. What's that all about?
Oh, come on, man. This is the one. This is the one we've all been waiting for. Oh, yeah. We finally are going to get Terrance "Bud" Crawford versus Errol Spence in the welterweight division for all the belts. July 29th, and that is going to be a night of pure violence, my friends. If you are a fan of MMA, boxing, combat sports in general, please save the date, July 29th. We're going to get Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2, which we covered on our last episode. Catch that one in the bubble. And we're also going to get Terrance Crawford versus Errol Spence. It's going to be a beautiful night. This fight is going to be a war. Yeah. Both of these guys are dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at their records here. You want to put up Errol Spence for me?
Sure, yeah.
I'll pull up Crawford.
Yeah, on the 29th, guys, I think we're going to have to do a little live video.
Yeah, we might have to do a fight companion.
From Salt Lake. Yes. You know, we'll bring some equipment up and maybe, you know, have set up at like an Airbnb or a hotel somewhere, and we'll do it on the spot.
Yes, sir.
A recap real quick. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on. Let me pull up. You got Terrance Crawford pulled up there?
Yep, I got Terrance Crawford here.
Let's break it down for
39-0. He's got a 76% knockout rate. But my favorite thing here, what I like about Terrance Crawford, is that he's a switch hitter. He loves to switch stances. Excuse me. And he fights really well out of both stances, even though he's a natural right-hander.
Mm-hmm.
And the man is just tough. I mean, this man's taken a bullet to the head and lived to see another day. He's still only 35 years old, 39-0 with 30 knockouts. And he's got his fight instinct is, you know, his fight IQ, fight instinct, whatever you want to call it. It's unparalleled right now in boxing and fighting in general. I mean, he's so good at adapting while he's in there and finding the shots he needs to win the fight. And his short punches are so powerful. I don't know. I really don't think this fight's going to go 12 rounds. I mean, they might play it a little safe, but I think that
both guys have a pretty high knockout rate.
Yeah, and I think they'll pull it into a brawl. They'll make it a little bit more of a brawl, and I like Terrance Crawford in a brawl over Errol Spence. But I mean, I don't know. Give me your take on this. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched too much of Errol Spence, to be honest. I'm a big Terrance Crawford fan as well. But breaking down some of his stats, I mean, he hasn't had as many bouts, I think, as Crawford. But his KO percentage is at 78%. So, yeah. And what Terrance is at, what, 70s, high 70s?
76, yeah. 76.9, 77. And he's you got Errol Spence is 33 years old. So they're right there in age. You know, this, like I was saying earlier, boxing is finally starting to make the fights they need to make. And, you know, although Errol Spence is the naturally taller man, what do we got here for reach on these guys?
So on Errol Spence, it looks like he has a reach of 72 inches. And then he's knocking on the door of 5'10" right now.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is going to be a good one, dude. Yeah, dude, that July 29th is going to be interesting for sure. I'm not even going to sure, like, we might even be at the UFC fight then, so we might have to pull it up on the phone or something like that. If we want to see it live.
I'm gonna turn my phone off. I'm gonna do it like I did it was Adesanya versus Vettori 2 and Moreno versus Figueiredo 2.
Okay, yeah.
We were flying home from Florida that night, and so I knew we weren't gonna get home until about 1 a.m. So I just turned my phone off, told everybody not to call me or text me, and then watched the fights when I got home. So we'll probably have to do the same thing. We'll probably be at the pay-per-view, and then we'll have to go home and or back to the hotel room, Airbnb, wherever we're at, and watch the pay-per-view there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm glad these big fights are getting made, dude. I'm super excited for it. I think the only one we have left, maybe they can get it done the end of this year, is getting Fury in there with Usyk.
You know, another big one they're talking about is, did you watch Benavidez versus Plant?
I watched, I think, highlights of that, yeah.
Okay, so you know who Benavidez is, though, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about finally getting Benavidez and Canelo done.
Oh, really?
That is a big fight.
Oh, man. Because I thought Canelo was talking about going back at Bivol.
No, he can't.
Yeah.
He's got to do Benavidez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they might, but no, that's the bigger fight, in my opinion. And Canelo, I think, I don't know. I don't think he's going to do too many more before he rides off into the sunset. I think he might do Bivol one more time to right that wrong, and then Benavidez and Bivol, however he decides to do it, assuming that he can beat Benavidez.
Yeah. Weren't they also talking about Beterbiev and Bivol as well, too?
Maybe.
I think that might be another big fight they can make. But, I'm hopefully boxing makes some moves, this year. Because I really feel like the UFC has been hot off the press with their big fights. We're almost to we're like pretty much like almost at like half of the year already, and the fights so far have been really good, and there's a lot of good ones coming up too. So.
Oh, and there's still so much potential.
Oh yeah,
you know what I
still
mean.
A lot to be made. Yeah,
I know they're talking about doing Jones and Pavlovich in Australia.
Oh really?
September or late August, either September or late August, but no, because August is going to be O'Malley and.
Because I was also hearing Jones and Stipe for MSG.
What I'm hearing is the Stipe fight is
not good, not good.
Happening.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
No, there's some pretty good ones. Did you see also Hamza and Usman talking? Oh man, that's gonna be a good
in
one,
Abu Dhabi with Islam headlining that card against. I mean, real quick before we can move on from the boxing fight real quick.
Yeah.
What do you got there for me?
For between what fights?
Like, who do you think Islam fights? Do you think he fights the winner of Benny and Charles? Do you think he fights Volk?
It's probably that one right there. Unless Volk just like cleans Yair.
I just can't see it.
Yeah, I don't think that Yair's so tough, dude. I don't know if that's gonna happen. So I think it'll probably be Charles or Benil.
You know what's crazy about that one too is I think the one you just mentioned. I'm sorry, is I don't think Alex has that one hitter quitter where he can just put Yair away real quick, like real early in the fight. But I can see it happening the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I think Volkanovski wins that fight by decision, but I could see Yair catching him.
I'm gonna honestly say it right now. Watch out for Yair. I think I'm gonna pick him, dude. And there's been so many times that I've like in Volk's most recent fights, like because I love Volk and like I feel bad because sometimes I like find myself like rooting against the other guy. You know, like when he fought Max, it's like, come on, guy. We're Max. You know, we're big Max fans over here. So it's like. Yeah, but this time, dude, I have a hard time seeing Yair not doing something. I don't know.
The way he was getting hit by those hooks from Islam, I was like, oh, man, somebody who's better at this is going to clean his clock.
Yeah, and it was weird because, Volkanovski kind of like threw a lot of caution to the wind there.
Yeah.
And then he felt the power that Islam had. But the thing that's with Yair is like it's not the punches he throws, it's those kicks, man.
And the elbows.
Yeah, and we saw him get dropped by Max with a kick and stuff like that when Max was like ending his combo, and ended it with a kick. He was able to connect in that second fight. And if Yair throws kicks at any time, he'll start a combo, he'll end the combo, and then he'll do some like crazy shit, So
very unorthodox, very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like you said, both guys might be throwing caution to the wind. I mean, I think it's going to be a fireworks fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. So yeah. Yeah, for Islam, I think you got to do that Charles or Benil fight, which, man, that's going to be a tough one. Who do you think is going to win between Charles and Benil? I love both those guys, so it's really hard.
Both of those guys so much, and I want both of them to get a shot at the title. It's tough. If you get the Charles Oliveira that fought Justin Gaethje, I don't think anybody can stop that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Even the one that fought Dustin Poirier.
Mm-hmm.
But Beneil Dariush is, it's so hard because his win over Mateus Gamrot was fantastic. But, Charles just has the better resume at this moment,
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards Charles Oliveira, but, I mean, Beneil Dariush and what they're doing over there with Rafael Cordero, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. sure. All right, guys. Well, is there anything else we should touch on?
No, I think that's about it. It's a little shorty today, but I mean, we got a lot out. Let us know in the comments what you think about these great matchups.
Yeah, for sure.
Let us know who you think is going to win between Terrance Crawford and Errol Spence, Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush, Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, Alex Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And that is it for us tonight.
Sweet, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to 10 Ounce Fight Club. Thanks for joining us once again. And
we'll work on that outro.
Yeah, we'll work on that one, guys. All right. Have a good one.